rolling. These doggies rolling. Rawhide.
No, every time he says rolling, I'm just like waiting for it. Every time he's like, when Dave says we're hot, I'm like, all of a sudden I'm like, well, here we go.
Yeah, this is going to be super fun. This is going to be super fun. And this is on our time, right? So it's kind of really nice.
Yeah.
We don't have to wait in lines.
No, not at all.
And we can have a beer and just chit and rally. Chit, chat, and rally.
Pretty much what we do at a dinner table, except
Exactly. Exactly.
Except we don't have to wait in line or wait for our food or anything like that. So.
Well, anyway, this is fun. A Friday night. Another Friday night.
Another Friday night.
I wonder if people are going to want to watch us every Friday.
We can certainly ask.
I know,
we can
right?
see how it goes.
Well, what do they want? What do you think?
I don't know. The last thing we talked about was teleportation.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then this week, I'm assuming it's going to be something similar, of similar nature.
So, as you know, I go to therapy every Friday now, which is a new thing for me. So I'm learning a lot about myself, sort of, but more about therapy than myself. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you have a scientific sort of thought process, or you want to understand the context and science behind therapy, I'm way more interested in that than like trying to figure out what the fuck is wrong with me.
You're like,
let me pull this science process apart
right.
before I decide if it's going to be good for me or not.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's who you are.
But it's, I think, anyway, not to go on a tangent, but I think my therapist is picking that up. So she's being very patient with me.
That's good. I mean,
yeah,
obviously should be patient with you if she's trying to get to know you, or at least get you to open up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And if it hasn't been very long, I'm sure. Is it working?
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
I didn't know this, but you have to build a real relationship with this person, apparently.
What did you think therapy was?
Well, I mean, I thought that they were like a doctor.
That they just like roboted you, like diagnosed you or whatever.
Okay. That's a slight exaggeration of what the way I envisioned my therapist relationship to be. No, I thought you go in and you talk about your problems and they're like, well, this is what you need to do a little differently. It doesn't work that way. They have to actually become your friend. That's super creepy to me.
And they never want to tell you what you are or what you're doing wrong. They want you to figure it out yourself. Normally.
See, I had a completely different understanding of what therapy was. I thought it was like you go to the physician, they take your temperature, they tell you what's wrong with you, and they send you home to do some exercises and like, ice it, give it heat. That kind of like, that's what I always thought therapy was.
Sounds like a physical therapist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but a mental therapist.
Okay.
So does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Absolutely. But incorrect. So are you building this relationship with her?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Is it a good one? Do you trust it?
Not there yet.
Okay.
Not there yet.
It's an honest answer. I like that.
Thanks for asking.
No.
Those are all really good questions.
Sure.
In our session today, it was really interesting. The session before that, we had scheduled this time to work on something more specific than I've been used to. And it was a pseudo hypnosis exercise.
Pseudo.
Yeah, sort of like not complete, but partially there.
Okay.
Right.
So did it work?
Yeah, right. So, and then I had a big presentation to give after that. So I do my therapy sessions at lunch, and then I typically step into a meeting, a standard Friday meeting that I have after that. And so we have to cut off just a few minutes short so that I can be like, prepare myself for the next entirely different conversation.
Okay.
And in this case, she decided that she would partially put me in a hypnotic state so that it wasn't too hard to pull me out of it just before my meeting. But she said those words to me about 1/4 of the way through, already hypnotizing me.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I've never experienced it before. And today it was like I was falling asleep, but she didn't quite have me fall asleep.
Right, but
I honestly did not. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but isn't that, even if it's partially, you're still suggestible? Is that right? Like you can still be told what to do?
I was conscious, and I was consciously pulling myself out of it every time I opened my eyes.
You were trying to fight it.
I was.
I would have done the same thing. I feel like I'm a bit of a control freak. I wouldn't be able to.
Well, but she told me she didn't want to take it too far. So I felt her take me in and out of it. And then she would make eye contact with me to pull me out of it, because I got more entertained by the eye contact element rather than how she was talking me to sleep, basically.
Pulling you in and out of it.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Like I said, with cues, like she would make eye contact with me, or she would change the tone of her voice.
Interesting.
Like it became more like she was talking to me in a suggestive way when she was pulling me out.
Yeah.
And before that, she was like she was speaking for me rather than speaking to me.
What an interesting
If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put that.
I've never experienced it in my life, but that's what it felt like. And I came out of it feeling like, I don't know. I felt okay with it because I wasn't fully
What was
out of
the
it.
intention behind putting you under hypnosis?
To make a point in practice that you can essentially through practice hypnotize yourself to escape a thought of where you don't want to be thinking. Let's say this, for example, you feel like you're threatened, but you're not sure because there is no threat. Simply because you're in a tight space, you feel threatened, or like it's a high risk situation of someone coming in with a gun, right? And so you're always hyper aware and anxious. But you know that there's not someone going to walk into your yoga class or that restaurant with a gun and take everyone hostage, right? So what do? You tell yourself that everything's okay and that's not really a risk right now. And when it does become a risk, you're going to know exactly what to fucking do when it does happen. But it ain't gonna happen, probably.
Okay.
And so if your anxiety is on a level thinking that it's going to happen, but then you're like, okay, no, it's not. You take yourself to a place where you're using all 5 of your senses to hypnotize yourself into a state of being safe and in a safe place, and pushing those other thoughts that aren't related to your 5 senses in your present state. You bring yourself back into the present to enjoy where you are in the moment, rather than reflecting on a past trauma or a past thing. So you hypnotize yourself quickly.
I mean, that kind of sounds like meditation.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay. So I'm normally hypnotizing myself.
That's exactly what you're doing.
Interesting. Well, I do that a lot, and I'm actually pretty good at it.
Right?
Yeah. I've been practicing meditation for years, and I'm fairly good at it. So definitely helps me every day.
Yeah.
So if I'm hypnotizing myself, then I should.
That's essentially the way she explained it. That's essentially the way she explained it. Spot on,
Interesting.
Right?
That's cool. So you gave in. So you meditate. So
I
every
do know
so
how to
often.
meditate, but I need help, guided.
Sure.
Which is
of course.
hypnosis.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. So we went through that exercise on proof of concept today.
Cool.
Yeah, right?
But why does hypnosis have like a woo-woo?
Because it can.
Okay. But
Because
meditation doesn't.
It's as I understand it, it can. You're seeing the white magic side.
Yeah, magical, witchery.
You're seeing the
witchcraft
white
and
magic
wizardry.
craft side of it, but there is a dark magic side to hypnosis and meditation and becoming, let's say, like a multi-dimensional being spiritually.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
wait.
I'm just saying people can take themselves into, like for you take yourself to your safe or your happy place or wherever that place is when you meditate. Right?
And I don't necessarily go to a place.
Well, where do you go?
I don't. I follow my breath.
Okay.
Oh, no, you know what? Actually, that's a great way to look at it now that you've asked me. I follow my breath going in my body and then coming out of my body.
So you're going inside
Yes.
your body.
Yes.
That's where you're going.
Yeah. So yes, that's where I'd be going. So now that you've asked me that, I realize I am going somewhere.
Right.
I do see something.
Right.
I see like a little light that just passes through me and it calms me.
That's really cool
Yes.
because
I'm cool.
you are cool. You are, baby, you are so cool.
Okay.
And that was pretty damn cute. So the interesting thing about that is I have been through a guided meditation where you focus on your breath and you focus on your spine, your hips, your joints, right? Your body position and so on. That's so interesting to me because the sessions that I've been building up to in therapy have all been going to a place, like writing almost a story, but you're living that story out or reliving a moment where you felt very safe or you are enjoying yourselves and you tap into all of the senses as you are probably mentioning about going inside through breath, right? Mm-hmm. But in this way, we're going somewhere that either I've been to and I have a hyper firing on all senses, if you will, and I can take myself there in a moment to engage, sort of like shock the system to say, you don't need to be concerned about this other stuff that's not really a threat to you right now. Remember that your five senses brings you to the present, which is cool, and it's safe there. And you can actually enjoy your time taking breaks and stuff.
Yeah.
So I've done it both ways. This is the hardest way, like taking yourself somewhere. That's been the most challenging for me.
Absolutely. Even for me too. I remember when I had first started like therapy and things like that, it was always take yourself somewhere else. And I learned that really well. And that helped. But I found that the internal, and this is maybe just for me, but I think that like taking it internally, that's where you actually find like real peace. But when you have your mind right enough to find peace in yourself, you know what I say? So all those years of therapy has helped me kind of evolve and, be okay with the thoughts that I have or the things that go on in my mind and be able to be compassionate with it. And that's why I find peace inside now, inside of me now. So I'm like, oh, but I totally get both ways. The other way is pretty difficult for me now. I find that I don't find peace outside of myself much.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, not if I'm frazzled during the day and I need meditation, inward is where I go.
Really?
Yeah.
I got to think about this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's really cool. And I think it's really fascinating to be able to do that. I remember when I could only do it for like 5 seconds. And then I would think, I'm doing it. But then I just took myself out of the moment and ruined the meditation by saying I'm doing it in my mind. So
but that's a success moment.
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
an important success moment.
Oh, you always got to celebrate your wins.
Right.
Always.
I was thinking how young really 39 is today, actually. Yeah, I really was. Because, and how much more time I have to do the things and build. Because if I take a look, like if I just go up into the clouds and look at my life and history, switching gears a little bit, but it's related, right? Is like, how have I grown? And I'm in a growth journey, very heavy one right now in therapy and stuff like that, right? And I'm just starting at 39.
Yeah.
Literally just starting. And one of the interesting things that she mentions to me is she's like, Logan, they taught you how to do all this other stuff. They didn't teach you how to undo it. That's what I'm here for.
That's a great way.
And so I'm just starting that journey at 39 years old. And there's a lot of things that I think about at this age, like I'm not doing enough of this. I'm doing too much of that. Self-reflection, looking inside, right? Like the things that I connect with, I think we're going down this route with her because they're the things I'm very sensually, like my senses are all hearing and feeling and taste and all of that is really, I'm hypersensitive there apparently.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why she's connecting me with this because the going inside part's like all blocked up.
Sure.
So I think she's thinking that this is maybe an easier route to the place that you're already at. And I'm just now getting to that. But then I compared that to, I've been training my body for, I'm 39, the last 20 years of my life. I've been conditioning my mind and my body and my trade and all my skills and everything for only 20 years. The first 19, I was a total fuck off, right? but the last 20 years, I've really worked hard to condition and train, and I'm healthy of mind, healthy of body. I'm killing it. And so at the end of that, like, why am I tripping? Like, I easily have another 20 years to build a whole new me, or a whole different me, a whole better me, which is really interesting because 20 years of training happened really fast.
Well, I also think that, like, since and you're very aware, and I don't know if I should say this, but it's one of those things where
What are you talking about?
I've actually seen it in you. I'm very impressed, to be honest, but I don't want to like brag
baby,
about
I'm
it.
impressed by you.
Oh, baby. Don't start now. Okay. We gotta stay on the straight and narrow.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Is it getting hot in here?
Woo.
Jeez.
What were we talking about?
No, but really.
When you feel like you're on the journey to awareness or more awareness and, you know, that kind of thing, I myself feel like I am constantly, every day. You learn something new every day. You look at something at a different perspective and you become a little bit more open. And when you are on that journey, you notice it in other people a lot. And so it was a pretty significant shift. I was like, oh, and I even wrote it down.
Really?
Yeah, I journal about everything. I like to brain vomit on pages because it just helps me let it go. You know, if anything's bothering me that's so insignificant, it's just, okay, boom, there it is.
My stepmom gave me a book to do that. When she came into my life, I was 11 years old, and she would always tell me, she would say, just let it all go. It's okay. You got to write it down. Just let it out. You know, it doesn't even matter if it makes sense. And if it's crazy and hateful and stuff like that, just burn it when you're done.
Yeah.
Make sure you burn it when you're done. Yeah. Always burn. And so I was like, okay, cool. Never tried it, right? And then I went to the military, came back from the military, and she gave me these PTSD books, you know, and stuff. I just got back from Fallujah. I was like visiting her, and she gave me this stack of books on how to manage PTSD. And one of them was a fat journal. And it was like, you need to write all the craziest, like if you want to murder someone, write it in here. Yeah. Even if you don't want to murder someone, you might think saying it or putting it on paper might make you feel better. Just do it and then burn that shit and just see what happens. Like, see what happens. You never know what works, but you don't have to ever do any of that stuff. Obviously, it's just a purge. Well, and apparently it's a great exercise I've never done before.
Really? You still haven't, even after being...
It feels weird. I don't want to...
Interesting.
I don't want to like put something in motion like that.
Well, you don't... It's not with intention. That's why, you know, I feel like people get the wrong idea about, I don't know, certain avenues like law of attraction. They're like, oh, or whatever the other things, it's like, oh, if you just put it in your mind, and then you say it out loud, that it's going to come at you. Like, we don't have that kind of power. I don't believe that we do. I think you have to have intent behind it in order for you to really feel it, see it, like utilize your all five senses in order to bring it to life. So if you're going to write down, I want to murder this person, and then you go burn it, it's almost as though if you want to use it as a symbolic method, you could just be like, okay, now that's gone away from me, away from my mind.
Yeah.
But I think you can also do it typing. Like, you could just go crazy, or it could be a numerous amount of ways, but a lot of people like talking about it. And I feel like that's so harmful to another person having to hear about it. When people are purging on you, you're like, that's a lot of energy. And if I'm not ready for that, right, I'm going to take that on. And then I'm going to feel it for a moment if I don't know how to protect myself from that kind of energy. Because a lot of people don't. Everybody just feeds on it, and then it just spreads like wildfire. Yeah.
That's where you mean speaking it or saying it to someone else really could speak it into being. Rather than doing it in your own space on your own time and just washing yourself free of it after. Yes. At least, and if it had no intent, I fully agree with you about words and intent, but that's really, really important thing that you mentioned there is like, when you get into conversations or debates or arguments with family members and stuff, and they say things, but it doesn't mean anything to them. They're just words. But because they're saying it with you, the intent feels real. Even though you may kind of know that they don't really mean it, why did they pick those words? They're putting them into space and time. It almost draws back to or pulls in that old saying, if a tree falls in a forest and no one's there to hear it, does it make a noise? It certainly does.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, are you asking me?
Or does it? Do you have to have someone to receive
that noise in order for it to make a
communication in order for us to perceive it as communication?
I see what you're saying.
That's the way I think about things. And if I
Okay.
write it down or if I say it, even if it's on my own time, I'm processing
I
it.
see what you-
Why? Like, why did I say or do or write that down? That's crazy. And then I'll drill all off into that.
And you ruminate.
Exactly.
And you just down the rabbit hole you go.
Whether I
about
burn
the
it or
whys.
not,
Yeah.
you know?
I admit I've done the same thing. Often. More often than I probably like to admit. And when I write it down, I'm like, oh my gosh, if anybody ever read this. And then I'm like, why did I even think this? Why am I driving myself crazy? Like all those things. But I don't know what it is about it that you can just, I think what I normally do in order for me to feel pretty fucking good about it is that I'll purge and then I'll pick one of those thoughts and I'll try to find like the circumstance of like why that thought was even popped up into my head. And then go through that thought in a very neutral way. And then after that's done, and I'm like, okay, I can change that thought from being this thought and now into a positive, or maybe not even positive, just a more neutral thought that doesn't cause me to feel any certain way. Then I can change the thought and the actual belief behind it. And that's where, that's the new step that I'm moving into, is that I can have the thought. It's just my brain thinking thoughts. It's not actually me thinking that thought. How can I just, what made me think that thought? What feeling made me have that thought? That kind of thing. So that's how I psychoanalyze my thoughts whenever they get really nasty. And then I turn it into something neutral that I can be okay with. And then I do gratitude journal, because then I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
It's like, just gratitude, everything. Thank you for everything.
So I've never done a gratitude journal and I haven't written all this shit down. But I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you think I'm a nasty person, or that I have trouble controlling my feelings or emotions when trying to have like a rational conversation?
No, not at all.
Right.
You're actually, yeah, you're quite rational.
But I've done none of these practices, and I can share with everyone what my practice is,
Sure.
just generally speaking. And it's like, that don't make shit. Like, that don't mean nothing to me.
But it does
That
bother
ain't
you.
shit.
Wait,
No,
what?
but most of the time I'm just like, okay, that happened and it bothered me in the moment.
Yeah.
But that's a blip, and it doesn't matter in comparison to all other things in space and time.
Until you start ruminating.
But I don't anymore on most things. From a rationale or rational and logical perspective, acting out on ruminating
Okay.
Right?
Acting. Okay.
is what we're talking about.
Sure.
Most shit's not shit. Most shit that we ruminate on or think about.
Oh,
It's just nothing.
I agree.
And I don't let it stir me up. The way to deal with it, the way I deal with it, is just like, that's dumb as hell, bro.
By saying it out loud.
Yeah.
No,
I'm just like,
I know.
I'm just like,
I know.
bro, that's dumb as hell, and that ain't no shit.
Yeah, no, I got you.
At the end, because we've had our tiffs and we were back and forth, and at the
Yeah,
end of it, I'm just like, babe, not that big of a deal. And then you're like, what the fuck? It was such a big deal like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah,
Right? You know what I'm saying?
You do that to me often, and I'm like exhausted.
But I could say the same thing. But I could say the same thing for you.
No, I bet.
Am I right?
I bet.
So the point is, though, at the end, I'm always like, that don't mean shit, and you hate that shit, but it
I
doesn't.
do, but then what do I always do? I always am just like,
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
right.
You're
yeah,
right. You're
and I'm
right.
like, okay.
Yeah. Holy shit. I'm glad we got that out of the way.
I know. And then I'm like, let's have sex.
Yeah.
That was loud. Sorry.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, that's history, right? That's that Filipino laugh right there.
My bad. I forgot where I was for a second.
And we call that meditation. Apparently.
Let's go. Let's roundabout back to hypnosis.
Yeah, and we call
How
that
did we
meditation.
go down that route?
Well, because meditation and hypnosis are two of the same species
Right.
of, I don't know, psychological diversion.
Is it a diversion?
Feels that way, you know?
Yeah.
I'm going down this route over here, and that's not a healthy place for my mind to go, and it's just kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
So how do I bring it back to center and be present with the people I want to be with, or in space and time by the beach? And this, like, I can close my eyes and take a nap on the beach without feeling like I'm about to get assassinated.
You
know what I'm
can?
saying? No,
I was going to say,
can't.
I thought you said you can. I was like, really?
But
I was
what
about
I'm
to.
trying to go through the practice of is how to get to that by feeling the sand, feeling the breeze.
Yeah.
But taking me back to those moments when I felt safe and I could feel the sand and feel the breeze and was enjoying being present. I can't do that anymore. So it's like we're trying to hit a reset switch through hypnosis.
Doing that. I know that's the goal. I know you say that's the goal, but doesn't it feel safe at this moment of 20 years of this mindset, or however many years you said? And doesn't that mean that the safety, where you find safety, is actually finding caution in everything? Like, you can't sleep on the beach, but you're almost like, I kind of like that, maybe?
Are you saying, do I want to still feel the sense of awareness and not give that up? Is that what you're asking me?
Do you find yourself fighting it, is what I'm asking.
Yeah. Like every millisecond.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. And so that's why I'm saying you find more safety actually in the caution and in the fight.
But you don't
something
need
like
to be there.
Oh, no.
People don't need to live in that headspace.
Right.
So I did think for a long time that I did find comfort in being able to be that guy, you know what I'm saying, for myself and for my family and for my lovers and for my friends. Like, I'm the person you want to have around when shit goes awry. I'm the person who wants to take care of my friends and my family because not only I want to and I love them, but I really can. You know what I'm saying? So I took pride in that for a while, but then I got exhausted and tired last year and things started happening in a way that I didn't like. So to your point is, yes, for a long time, I did take pride in being that, but gosh, I really don't want to be that anymore. I want to relax. I want to be cool. I want to be in the present, man.
Cool.
That's
Cool
where I
as a
really, really
cucumber.
want to be, you know?
Well, I have to say, I can see the work done. So good on you.
Well, thank you.
It's great.
Thank
Looks good
you.
on you.
You're
You look
sweet.
younger.
Oh boy. I think it's that face cream that you brought home.
I know.
Do you want to give them a shout out actually?
I think it's like osmosis.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and it's like a 5-part thing that I make him do every night. It's so funny. He's like, wait, I remember the first time I did it to you, I was putting the orange stuff on and I was like, remember to rub up because of gravity. That's like what we have to do. And then I started spraying him, and when I
was
sprayed
poking
you,
holes in that gravity
I know.
theory all
He
night
hated
long.
that thing.
I was like, now wait a minute. If I push up on my skin, I'm fighting gravity, and that's going to
You
keep my
push up
cheek.
on your
Oh my God. Yeah, and you were smushing my little face around. Wait,
Like a
was that
chipmunk.
bullshit? Just so you wanted to make me make funny faces? For real? Were you fucking with me?
No, I'm not. I swear. Grandmas do it all the time. It was like with Vaseline, they do that thing. But no, so they have you go up, and then I remember when I sprayed you, you were like,
Yeah.
your face was
Yeah.
so funny. You're like,
that's
what
just
did you just do
crazy.
to me? And then there was another thing we had to put on you, which smells like ozone, but you're like, no, it smells like a pool.
No, I just
Something
want to
like-
know how you get ozone in a bottle. What's that supposed to feel and smell like? Sounds awesome. Right?
Yeah. And then you put another cream on, and then a 6th cream if it's in the morning because it's SPF.
So let's
I have like six stuff.
so let's be on. Okay, freaking me out here. Six stuff here. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, do not speak that into being. You know what I mean?
You just did. I didn't even notice it.
This hypnosis thing is like blowing my tiny little brain into a million pieces.
I think it goes down way too many avenues.
What do you mean?
Hypnosis. You know what's funny is that I'm gonna tell you I cheated And I
Let me have it.
you told me about hypnosis, and I looked up some jokes, and I was trying to find a hypnosis joke, and I couldn't find anything.
Yeah, that's
So
messed up. That's like joking on people's therapy session. You just can't do that. They put people in jail for that kind of shit.
It that way, you little
Especially
sneak,
don't do it on TV.
You little sneak. No, I was just thinking. I was like, "What? Is there anything funny about hypnosis?" And not really. Okay, actually, but bum. I know one in 8th grade. They brought a hypnosis on, and they were trying to get everybody to act like animals.
Hold on a
and
second. They
like,
brought a hypnosis on?
Yeah.
What does that
on
even
stage.
mean? Oh, a hypnotist. They brought a hypnotist. I'm just trying to make you not look dumb right now.
Hey!
Baby, I got your back.
Hey!
Baby got
I
back.
appreciate you. Okay,
a
hypnotist.
Baby got back. Sorry.
They brought him on, and he looked like a magician.
Yeah.
In the 8th grade. So obviously we were all looking at it like this is hokey and a joke. But people got really into it. And when he was like, "You're a dog, you're a cat," and then they just start meowing and barking, I was like, this is some bullshit. So he snapped in my face and he's like, "You're a cow." And I was all, no. They just said no because I refused. I was like, I can't even fake it. Like, I know those kids were faking it. They were not hypnotized.
So you don't believe in hypnotism?
No, I actually do now
pardon me.
because when you relate it to meditation, I can totally see the relation between it.
The other example of hypnosis that you described where you could make people do things, hypnotize them to do things.
Sure.
It sounds like you may not believe in that.
Being, suggestible, I don't know. I would have a hard time giving up my control. If someone was like, "We're going to put you under hypnosis, you will be there, but you have no control." I don't like that idea.
Have you heard success stories about these sessions?
No, I've never read anything. I guess that's not a topic of something that I go searching for on Google. It's not,
I have he passed, may he rest in peace, my great uncle, who was a record-breaking quick draw 6-shooter champion. So he was actually a rocket scientist style of engineer and lived up in the Bay Area. And he had a couple things going on. He was a little kind of hippie, had some hippie kids too. I love them. They're my cousins. They're great. But, it's the San Francisco area. What can you say? But he was hypnotized and got rid of a smoking habit during that hypnosis session. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the hypnotist that made him quit smoking. He chose in the session, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. And in that sense, I believe that hypnosis can take control of a situation that you allow to give control to, and then you got to want it.
The intention is to quit.
Exactly.
So there you go.
But they can bring that forward and fix you. Like it's like the way I imagine it is your bike pedals and your gears are catching a little bit because you've been doing something over time for a while, like smoking. It's a habit, right? Mm-hmm. And what they do is they kind of unwind because you want to, and they realign your gears, right? Mm-hmm. And now you're cruising in a way that is more harmonious with the way you want to be, the place you want to go. And so what they help you do as a guide, this is the way I imagine it, is that as a guide, they help you kind of realign those gears, like a coach in a session like that.
I mean, I can back that. I would totally be behind that if it was something that I intentionally want to quote unquote think I need fixed, or stop a habit, for instance. Absolutely. For no reason, I don't know.
I understand
but
that.
I mean, I could totally, if again, like I said, if my intention is to do something and hypnosis could get me there a bit faster than me doing it on my own, hell yeah, I'd give it a whirl.
Yeah.
Would you?
I definitely would.
Yeah.
Those people who free their mind and open their mind to it, I think it absolutely can work. And it's like a guide. It's like a therapist in an isolated session where you want to go somewhere, you want to change something. And they're like that mastermind, like person that can break into locks. You know what I mean? And they're listening to the clicks. And they're catching on, they're reading that, and they're snapping the clicks back into place, walking you through the steps of how to get this door open.
Yeah, I got you.
It's the way I imagine that shit.
I'm right there with you.
I would be so down to go on that journey to fix some whoop whoop. What would you fix? Or is that too heavy?
That's a personal question.
Is that too heavy? This is a pretty heavy conversation
This is
in
a
general.
heavy. I wasn't expecting it to go this route.
Should we lighten it up? I think it's too
Take
late.
off your shirt.
Whoa. Babe. We have people in the room. No, let's not. Let's cruise with it.
Okay.
But what would you fix? Oh my God. I would totally fix that one habit that I have.
Is that what I sound like?
No.
Are you making fun of
No,
me?
I was like giving you
that
an
my
example
voice?
of what I should say to make it light, not so heavy. Oh boy. Here she goes. Here the pot starts stirring up brawl.
Okay.
What would you fix, baby? About me.
No,
Just kidding.
we don't go there either. No, nobody should ever fix anybody. I think if you have a problem with who someone is, then you should not be there. You know what I
agree.
mean? I think that I fully accept everybody as they are around me because I wouldn't want anybody not to fully accept me, even for all my quirks and things that may annoy them. Just either that or find someone that doesn't do it.
I don't think you
know what I mean?
have any of those things like quirks or whatever for me.
I think that I love you for that. You're sweet.
No, I find them quite entertaining.
Oh my God, that's a word. Yeah.
I find what you find as maybe not a becoming characteristic. I find those characteristics about you entertaining. Do you know what I mean? And I love your reaction.
I don't know.
Actually,
Entertaining is such an interesting word to use right there
I'm just
for my
being honest.
quirks.
I'm just being honest.
Because that could go any route, babe.
I'm just being honest, everybody.
No, I just mean that I just think that, I would never want to tell anybody they need to fix anything or they need to do anything. But
Just for the record, I was kidding.
oh, no. I'm just going back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
And then, but as far as myself, it's kind of personal, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not go there.
I think I'll keep
I'll
that one to
pass.
myself.
Yeah. I think you should.
Yeah. It's not something that
If that's what you want. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't want that in space
No,
and
I'm
time.
good. I don't know if
Are you working on that internally? Like you're working on something or some things, a lot of things, always something different each week?
every day.
I'm just curious because
every day. That's
it's
why I
something
told
different. You switch it up or do you focus on one thing for a few months?
For me, it's like every day, like I said, I thought purge. And the thoughts and there are times where I'll keep everything. I have a good journal and I have a bad journal. And the bad journal just stays over here. And
Oh,
then
you really do? You have two journals. One is
do.
for positive thoughts and one's for negative thoughts.
One is for just purging. So it could be great thoughts, neutral thoughts, anything like that. But so I do that every day, and there is a theme to them if consecutive days go by. So when I have a certain thought, that's like, okay, that's what I dig deeper in for that time. And I also have a therapist and stuff, so we talk about that kind of stuff, and that also helps a lot, having kind of just a neutral perspective. or as neutral as possible,
Yeah,
as you can say. And then, but yeah, so I think I do work on a lot of things every day,
Right.
every moment. Sometimes you'll hear me typing and it'll be because I'm like, I have something in my head that I need to get out of there.
Really?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah. I've been through a lot in my life. I mean, I'm 32. It's not that old, but definitely lived a lot. And so there's a lot of thoughts that go in there, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. But
And
I
you
think
do
I
that
take it
on
in
the
good
fly.
stride. I do. I've trained myself in the last like year and a half to, if I'm feeling something, do it now, because you never know. You can take it out on anybody. And that's for me, that I tend to berate myself more when I take it out on someone and I know I'm doing it. And then I'm like, man, they didn't deserve that. Or,
Wow.
yeah. So that like freaks me out. So like, that's why sometimes I'll just be like really quiet and I'm like, okay, let's get through this. It's all good. No big deal. And I try not to make it a thing, like make it mean something. It's just, it is what it is. Just have it. Let's just figure it out, But yeah, there's a lot of things that go on in there in this little brain
That's
of mine.
just no. I'm just taking a moment to think, because I haven't thought about, like, I always thought about the journaling thing and the purging of thoughts on paper. I always thought about that as something that was a practice at a time in a day, or you know what I mean? I didn't think about it as something on the fly. And this is actually something that I'm learning in my current sessions with her, is that no, you need to do this throughout the day. You'll need to access this tool sort of throughout the day to help you in moments when you're really triggered.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not, for me, I never saw it as like I was taking it out on someone else. Not to like pick on those words of what you chose, but I never felt that way or thought that I was doing that. I was more so just beating myself down. Why am I having these thoughts right now? I'm such a terrible person. Do you know what I mean? That's where I saw it. And so I think it would help me maybe to put it down in the moment that I'm having those thoughts. I've never thought about doing that in the moment. I always imagined it to be something that was a daily practice at a moment in time.
But in the morning, sometimes I feel amazing. Like, I'm like, I don't need it. I'm good. And then it'll hit me after work or when I'm tired or when I'm not as like pep in my step. I've been working all day and I get done. And I think what I mean by, taking it out on people is that like what I mean from like being cranky or having low energy or not being fed or something. So I kind of think of like my body first when I start to feel this crankiness kind of fall over me. And I don't know what to really call it. I think that's what I just like to call it, because that's what I take out on people. I'm like, I'll be stressed out about something and then I'll just be like snap at someone. And I'm like, oh man, did I eat? Did I do these things? And then when the thought, if there's something going on over and over in my brain that I'm not catching, then I realize after everything, I check myself. I'm like, am I gonna be on my period? You know what I mean? Like I have to, because I'm like, man, why am I acting like this? I don't like it. And then once you go through all the steps, then I find out it's a thought, and then I just. But you can kind of tell at this point, if it's.
I just want to say, like, I appreciate how much work and time you put into that.
I mean, I do. It's a big deal.
It makes a huge difference in
I don't allow those kinds of things to be an excuse. Like I refuse, because I don't think it's fair. And I have people do it to me and I'm like, that's not fair. And then for me to say, hey, that's not fair to you, it's not fair to me either to do it. So I'm like, let me not be a hypocrite and, basically practice what I preach.
Here's the real question. If you could hypnotize me.
Okay. Hand massage.
Perfect. Hand massages for days.
Handy.
But everything
massage.
else is good. You wouldn't hypnotize me for anything else, huh?
No, babe.
Just more hand massages.
First off, I'm not going to put that shit on blast, even if I had a thing to think of. But no, I don't really mean.
I like this.
I don't know. No, I really can't.
I think that's good.
I think it's great. What about me now?
Hand massages. Whoa. What?
If you could Jedi mind trick me, if you could hypnotize me only, what would you do?
Oh, man. I don't know. I've been thinking about that since my session.
Since what session?
I was like, man, this lady almost put me to sleep. What would I do if I could hypnotize people? I was going to hypnotize Gunner.
Sometimes he looks like he's hypnotized.
For real, by my shadow. What if I could hypnotize Gunner? I would hypnotize him to stop licking himself right next to me. And then I was like, when Reese gets home, what am I going to hypnotize her into doing? I know, huh?
Well, I don't think you have to hypnotize me for that either.
No, but okay. Okay.
I thought that's what the route you were going.
No.
Oh.
I'm just
Sorry,
saying.
I'm the only perv in the room.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't need to. I don't need to. It comes at me like machine gun fire already. And I love it.
Like machine gun fire. You're welcome. Nobody complains about machine gun fire.
That's right. No, I love it. So, in conclusion,
and on that note,
you would take advantage of hypnotizing me if you had that power, would you?
Yeah, I would save it for a rainy day. Can I have it like as a back pocket?
And I don't have a choice. Like, you would be willing to take my liberty away in a moment.
Just the one time, like you know, like a card. I just
you just pull that hypnotized card. And from that on, you get to say, you do this until a certain time and you can unlock me. You can lock me up and then unlock me.
That's a little nerve-wracking. That's like, okay, so cool, this is what I attribute this to. I attribute this to what I was about to do earlier today by pushing you in the bushes. But then I realized if I pushed you in the bushes, then I would get pushed back and probably get hurt worse. So I decided not to push you in the bushes so I wouldn't have retaliation
Perspective.
against me.
Much appreciate you not pushing me in the bushes earlier, first of all, because I would have reacted and likely pulled you into the bushes with me and you would have been injured. And that's technically why you didn't get pushed in the bushes, as you're stating now, is because there are fucking big consequences to doing malicious things to people.
I agree.
Right?
So hypnotizing you, although it sounds so enticing and I wish I could have it in my back pocket, I would not want you to do that to me. So
I
no,
don't
baby,
want to
I would not
hypnotize anybody either.
I'm not hypnotizing you. You have free will to be you. I want you to be you because I love you for you.